talking about something very important. Now, customer service as we know it, as we knew it, has changed completely. These days, we see a lot of things happening on social media. We see that it's moved from polite conversations at a counter or maybe over a call or something to something else. And today, customer service is happening in real time, in public, and often under pressure. Because now when a customer is unhappy, they don't just complain to the business. They post, they tweet, they share, and within minutes, that experience can reach hundreds and sometimes thousands of people. So the question is no longer, did you solve the problem? The question is, how do you respond and who is watching? And so that is what we are talking about this morning. We want to have a conversation to rethink customer service and also what businesses should be paying attention to today if they want to stay relevant and competitive. My guest is Stephen Naasei Boadi. He is a senior digital marketing professional. He does a lot of things. He's a consultant and a lot of other things. And he's joined us this morning for this conversation. Uncle Naasei, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah,
how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm well. How are you too?
I'm very well, thank you. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, good to have you back on the show.
You.
Really grateful. All right, so let's start from rethinking customer service. Now, when we say customer service today, what does it actually mean in today's world?
Thank you very much. Maybe picking it from where you, ended it. Customer service used to be like a department in a company where people sat and waited for a phone to ring and deal with customer complaints or received letters and they responded to those letters. That was the olden days. Today is very, very different, and transformation has actually been through the advent of technology.
Right.
So now customer service broadly involves everything that happens before, during, and after the customer experiences your brand and at different touch points. So it could even be what happens at your car park, for example, the experience they have with your parking attendant. It could be what happens with your waiters even before the food comes, if you're in a restaurant, for example. So there's something we call like the customer impact.
Right.
So every touch point has a potential to generate customer satisfaction or customer complaint. And at every touch point, the customer could be complaining or could be appraising your brand. So today, you need to listen more broadly, not just wait for phone calls, but also be actively listening to conversations people are having about your brand and about your business to be able to meet the customer's expectations, their desires, their interests, and things like that.
So would you say customer service has moved from being maybe a support function like it used to be to a core business strategy these days?
It's a core business strategy, and it's people's part of people's like unique value proposition. The more, the better the customer experience, the likelihood that you are able to steal business from your competitors. So a lot of businesses now invest in customer service, delivering great customer experience. If we can start being practical a bit. So for example, if people are ordering, or let's take a typical salon experience. Okay, people go to the salon to get their hair done, but it's not just the hair that they want to get done. They want their hair done in a neat environment, a tidy environment. They don't want the hairdressers to be gossiping, because if they are gossiping, chances are that the minute you leave the seat,
the next
person they're going to gossip about.
Right.
Okay, so they want clean people. They want people who are not gossipy. They even expect that while they are waiting, there'll probably be a Wi-Fi, so they can get on with work, do all those things. So these are different customer expectations. Okay. Now, businesses that understand customers' expectations when they come to access your service provide all these other things. So they're not just going to do nice hair for you, but they make sure that your hair is done, and the process of doing your hair is an experience that's compelling, because the likelihood is that when you leave and you're happy about it, you will tweet and be able to go out there and be their ambassador.
Right.
So they are spending time and spending resources to understand customer expectations, and then making sure that they are kind of giving customers rewarding experience,
Okay.
knowing that customers will go out there, talk about the experience they have, and bring them
Other
business.
people. Right. So people are paying attention to, but
Yes.
but do you see that generally in Ghana? Do you think that people have moved away from their outdated mode of customer service, or there are still people in there?
Not every business. I mean, some businesses, have woken up and have realized that this is where they need to be, so they are spending on that. Other businesses are still doing things old school. There are even businesses that ignore complaints
Okay.
because they don't understand the impact of the complaints.
And
Now,
that's a
the
disaster.
It's a disaster.
Mm.
But the shift today is that, you see, in the olden days when the satisfied customer will have to write or phone you, only you know the complaint.
Yeah.
And they could only go and tell their neighbors or whatever. So it was limited to few people. Today, the likelihood is that the customer will post it on social media. Once it's on social media, every second that it's out there on social media, it's reaching more and more people.
More people. Right.
And becoming more of a crisis. And so businesses that understand this are investing in understanding customer expectations. So they will deal with those even before they become crisis. For example, I go to restaurants. When I go to a restaurant, and let's see, typical one is, because it's not very predominant in Ghana, you go to a restaurant and you order, let's say, steak. Anybody that's into steak, one of the questions they expect to be asked is, how do you want it? Medium rare,
Right.
well done, or what? Those are some of the things they want to hear.
ask,
That's
right.
one. Number two, the cutlery should include a steak knife, not a normal knife. So all these things, if they are not done, that tells you the restaurant doesn't understand the culture of the food.
Right.
And I'm not likely to go back. But where people are prepped, where the waiters are prepped, and understand that normally when you get there, the standard cutlery are on the table.
Yeah.
But the minute you order steak, they'll go and bring the steak knife. That tells you that they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Or they will ask the right questions. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what. But it takes understanding of the customer expectation. I'm not when I go to a steak house, I expect them to know how things be done. I don't expect me to volunteer that. They should ask me the questions. In the same way, there are some things you buy, and even the way you expect to be packaged, if it's not packaged that way, you understand. You know that this business doesn't understand the expectations of the customers. You like cutting your hair. You expect that when you cut your hair, wherever you cut your hair, there will be a warm towel.
Yeah.
If it's not done, then
Right. Okay. So now you spoke about the fact that now social media has given people a voice. I mean, everybody a voice to be able to say their things. Do you think that it has actually made, it has shifted, or maybe it has shifted the power really that businesses used to have to customers today?
definitely. Definitely. Today, because of the power of social media, the customer is in charge of or he controls whether or not the complaint can escalate into a crisis. Okay, so if it's a typical customer who has strong online presence, for example, when they tweet it, you can imagine the more people who are hearing it. So you, the brand, will be playing catch up. And this is why there are tools out there, which I'm sure we'll talk about, that we call listening tools.
Right.
You need to understand the conversations that people are likely to have about your brand and use these listening tools to tune into the conversations. So when you are mentioned, or when anything related to you is mentioned, you have the chance of hearing about it, knowing about it.
Okay.
In time enough to be able to respond to it. Let me give you an example. It's a bit old, so I can talk about it, be specific. I used to work at a place called PZ Cousins. Now, any mother or even these days fathers who is listening to us knows what we call a baby lotion.
Yeah.
Now, a baby lotion is often whitish, milky, that kind of thing. All right. Now, PZ Cousins had what we call Cousins baby lotion. I was in Manchester in a meeting with my bosses one day, and I got an alert on my phone because I was using these tools. What the tools do is, as soon as somebody mentions your brand or using any of the keywords, you get an alert.
Okay.
So I got the alert, and what happened was a mother had gone to a shop, a baby care shop, bought the baby lotion, squeezed a bit into her palm like they do to rub it before she puts on the baby's skin, and it looked like Tampico, yellowish. it's not what she expected to come out of the bottle. So she took a picture of it and put it on a blog. Now, the likelihood was that within minutes, other mothers will come there and say, oh, I also had that experience.
Yeah.
Before you know it, it's escalating.
Yes.
And the way things work in FMCG is you need to be able to track the source of that product. So you need to track it by the batch number.
Okay.
And sometimes you have to recall the product.
Yeah.
Well, this is something that's gone wrong. Okay. So as soon as I got the alert, I got out of the office, called my colleagues in Nigeria and said, trace this and let's recall the product.
Okay.
That's how you do it. But we were all able to save ourselves from a crisis because we got the alert and responded promptly. Businesses that are not doing that wait for days before they become even aware that somebody has posted something about them.
Right.
We don't want to ruin people's businesses in Ghana. But the examples of businesses that are being, that there are serious conversations going on about businesses today, that the business is not even part of the conversation because they are not listening, they are not monitoring. So it's a split. There are some businesses who are woken up and are doing this, but other businesses are not.
They are not. And how does that affect their businesses?
If you don't respond to crisis, every crisis is a potential, danger and could cause the collapse of the business. Because customers are very powerful these days. We've seen boycotts. We can talk about people boycotting, let's say, Starbucks, for example, for their, racist culture. We've seen people boycotting some brands, some trainers, and other things. Coca-Cola, Pepsi have all gone through it. Brands have suffered that way. Customers have power, and their power is in their voice on social media.
Right.
And if they are able to mobilize enough people on social media, you see boycotts. We've seen some boycotts even in Ghana. Again, we don't want to mention people's brands yet, but we know some restaurants that, people boycotted because they were perceived as being racist. And this had nothing to do with the food that they serve, but had everything to do with their treatment of the people that work there. So the workplace culture. And that's another way where customer service has shifted. It's more about the experience and the everything. Not just about the product and whether or not the product does what it says on the tin.
But is that a customer service? I want us to situate it better. Is that a customer service problem or customer service issue or a public relations issue?
It's both.
Okay.
It's both because you need to manage the perception of the business or the brand in public. You know what I mean? And that's where the customer service comes in. Knowing how people perceive your brand, what people expect. And public relations is not just about responding to crisis. It's about customer impact. It's about about corporate affairs.
Right.
Engaging with the people, your core stakeholders. It's about stakeholder management. So that's a key part of that. Customer service, effective customer service helps in dealing with public relations.
Okay. So exactly 28 minutes after 9, this is the Business Breakfast on Z101.9 FM. This morning we're having a conversation on customer service in today's world and what businesses should be doing differently. My guest is Naasei Boadi. Is a growth consultant. He's also a marketing and communications consultant, and that he's helping us have this conversation this morning. You are free to join the conversation. Feel free, send us a WhatsApp on 0544321019 0544321019, or you can also call us on 0303956641 0303956641. We're streaming live on Facebook at ZFMGH and on YouTube at Z Multimedia. Please drop a comment under the live stream and we'll read them for you. All right, so let's go back to the social media part of the whole thing. So how important is speed? Okay, just before I come there. So today, why is it important for businesses to be listening on social media?
See, social media is word of mouth on steroids, if you understand what I mean. It's word of mouth on steroids. Speed, the word you use there, okay? In the olden days, the customer would have had to write a letter and post it
All right.
to your company, it will take days. Today is instant.
Yeah.
You serve me the food even before I take the second bite. If I'm not happy with it, I can tweet about it. So it's seconds. And once it's online, it goes like Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Depending on how I tweet it. Now, we can talk about some global examples. This is an example where American Airlines has a very bad reputation of treating customers very badly. One of the most, serious ones was where they dragged a customer out of it.
Yeah,
You saw that
I
one.
saw that one.
And people were videoing it.
Yeah. I think last year.
Yeah. By the time the flight actually took off, it was already on Twitter and other places. Because the passengers on the flight, while they were waiting to take off, were videoing it and putting it online.
Yeah.
Sadly, American Airlines wasn't tuned into the conversation. But you see the impact. By the time they turned around and they wanted to resolve the situation, it had already escalated and it was beyond redemption.
Right.
Okay, and people had to resign, their share price had to plummet, all those things. So that's the big shift. Speed is now of essence because social media is speed. In the olden days, again, where it was a phone number, you had to call and wait on the phone listening to some boring classical music before you could speak to the customer service agent.
Yeah.
Today, that's not the situation anymore. In fact, brands that want to know, brands should be interested in knowing what you've got to say about their brand. So some brands like AT&T, for example, has a hashtag uniquely created for customer service. There's like a dash, like a screen where all the tweets come and there's like a virtual call center where people are responding to them.
Okay.
Because the habit today is that I haven't got time to listen to some boring music on the phone. I just whip out my phone, tweet whatever I want to say, and then carry on. So speed is of essence, and that has shifted the game.
What does it mean if brands wait for complaints to be made public before they respond?
It becomes more difficult for them to address it because then you'll be dealing with bigger numbers. You'll be dealing also with, you see, once the complaint is treated the first time, the minute it goes out, it starts taking dimensions.
Yeah.
Other people begin to share their experience. It becomes a public conversation. Like we say, social media is the public square. So now you're not dealing with just one complaint. You could be dealing with multiple.
Yeah.
You could be dealing with reputation. The likelihood is that the minute somebody tweets something about your business and says anything bad, their friends will come and say, I had the same experience. I had a worse experience. And it starts going that way. But if you are able to deal with it promptly, you are able sometimes even to turn it around, where if you address it effectively, that same person who tweeted negative about your brand could go out there and tweet a positive thing about your brand and reverse the situation.
So are we saying that businesses must be proactive?
Yes. Proactive as in anticipate the likely things that customers are likely to complain about.
Okay.
For example, and I like to give these examples. If you run a restaurant, you should know the pattern. Know the peak times, when waiting time, when you have a lot of hours.
Yeah.
So you prep some of the food. If on the average on a normal day, it takes 30 minutes to get food prepared per individual, and you're serving only 50 plates, you may be able to manage that. But if you know the weekends we're going to serve, let's say 100 plates, that means you need to prepare for 100 people.
Right.
So you can maintain the 30 minutes. Otherwise, you'll be looking at an hour or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
So you anticipate customer needs. That's part of customer service. If you're able to do that, then customers won't come there and complain that they waited too long to get their food. Because you anticipated you're coming, you anticipated what could be a potential crisis. And that's what businesses should do.
Then I think now it's more important than ever.
More important than ever. Yeah.
Because if you don't preempt what customers, or if you don't predict what customers might be, be looking forward to, then you would wait. And when you wait, by the time you see it, it's on social media.
It's on social media.
And you now have to come and do.
We have a lot of concerts in this time. You know the way concerts turn out these days.
Yeah.
You should anticipate when that customers, if you're expecting, let's say 10,000 people to come into a stadium, a couple of things you anticipate. There could be stampede at the entrance. So you plan to open the gates early. Otherwise, you get customer service issues.
Right.
Number two, you should expect that 10,000 people in a hall, you need to have better ventilation. The AC should be working on it. So you check these things before. So that's anticipating potential customer service issues and dealing with them, avoiding, so you can avoid crisis. But that's what a lot of businesses are not doing today. So they should be doing it. But you see, customers will not come and tell you that I expect you to have an AC on.
Yeah.
You know, but you should, if you listen to the conversation, you know how they want to enjoy their concert. So you plan for that.
I know we're talking about businesses, and I mean, on top of the minds of a lot of people, it's businesses and buildings and all of that. But these days, music artists are also in there. And just this past December, of course, Dirty December, so many events happening. I saw on social media people complaining about certain specific artists and their programs.
Yes. Yeah.
And
so for example, I'm glad you mentioned that. So whether it's Afro Nation or whatever, a lot of these events, they have a reputation. You build a brand. People know what to expect from that kind of concert. The kind of sound they want, the kind of lighting, the stage craft and all those things. So you should know that and know the kind of craftsmanship that people expect from your people who are coming to perform on the night. If you are not in tune with that and you go and put the wrong people on your flyer and put the wrong people on the people will be booed. And at the end of the day, it's you who's going to, because they say you put on a bad concert. So you should also know what customers expect and prep your artists before they get onto the stage.
Okay.
And even your selection of the artists, you should know what customers expect.
Right.
And you're very, very right. Especially at concerts, we're always tweeting on Instagram.
Yeah.
So before the act even finishes the first song, they are already being dissed on the online.
That's true. That's true. And that's so it's more important now to I mean, just to establish your proactive, the fact that you need to be proactive as a business or as I mean, it cuts across now. So everybody needs
even
to be proactive.
in churches.
Yeah.
Even in churches. Nobody expects to come to a church and have a bad experience. Bad sound. I mean, so you need to make sure you're investing in the proper sound and all those things. Yes, people tweet.
Oh, really? I haven't seen any of those.
You should go out more.
I should listen more.
Yeah.
Right. So it's important. Now let's come back to the response. Now we've established that proactiveness is very important. Let's come to reacting, but with speed.
Yes.
You already spoke about how important speed is in all of this. What should guide how fast a business responds to an online complaint?
Okay, so the response can be varied. Okay,
right.
Now in the business of customer service and PR, what you often do is you don't rush to respond to every complaint.
Okay.
The first thing is to acknowledge it. So somebody comes to complain about something, you should investigate it before you respond. Otherwise, you could be responding to the wrong thing. And is it a crisis or not? Sometimes, there are trolls also out there who sometimes would come and put some of these things up just to get attention. So the first thing to do is acknowledge. Say something like DM them or respond and say, thank you for your, for reporting this. We will respond to it. We're investigating and respond to it. In most instances, that will calm the person who's complaining down.
Right.
And immediately get to work. You assess it. Is this one to observe? Is this one that's a potential crisis we need to respond immediately? Or the one that we should ignore? These are different kind of like flags.
Okay.
These are different ways that we flag complaints and stuff. But the key is that you should respond within reasonable time.
Okay.
And respond accurately. To do that, you need to do your investigation as soon as possible. Look into it. What was the situation? Why did this happen? Did something go wrong? How can we address it? And then you put a public response immediately. The other thing about the response also is that you need to respond in the space where the conversation is happening.
Okay.
As in sometimes, you see, in the olden days, you sometimes call a press conference or release or publish a rejoinder.
Yeah.
Today, the customer chooses where he wants to complain. So he will probably go and complain on TikTok or wherever. And that's where sometimes it might even be something that's reported on Twitter, but it starts trending on TikTok.
Yeah.
You need to be in that space to respond to the conversation.
Yeah.
In that space, the response could be different. So not just being timeless, being acting with speed, but also responding in the right, through the right channels.
Yeah.
To be able to address the right audience.
Okay. So it is very critical to do that. What are some of the mistakes that you see apart from responding outrightly? What are some of the mistakes that you see Ghanaian businesses
Some
actually
of them
make?
So when you post the complaint,
they hide it or
they hide or they delete it. But these days, the truth is that the minute something is posted, somebody has screenshot it and it's gone. Hiding or deleting it in a way is kind of like trying to conceal something that so it's like admitting wrong. Okay. So the best way to do it is to acknowledge it, like I said.
Okay.
And leave it there. Where it's very serious, sometimes you respond, let's say it's put on your timeline. You respond to the conversation on the timeline and then you DM the person. So you move the conversation to the DM. At least the public will see that you responded to this person here, that thank you for reporting this. We'd like to engage you and deal with it. So they know you are actually, then you take the person to the DM, because sometimes you need to find out more information before you respond to it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like the typical food example I often give. Okay. You work in a restaurant, different things could go wrong at a restaurant any day. So you need to know, it's not that our menu is always, there's something wrong always with our menu. It's probably too spicy or too salty. It could be just this particular pot that it came from.
That's right.
So we need to investigate it. At what time did you place the order? Which restaurant? Who served you? All those things. Then we can go back to track it. Then we'll be able to deal with it, because responding to the complaint is one thing, but addressing the source of the complaint is another thing. That's something that's very critical. Otherwise, you are only postponing a crisis. Okay. And then when you've responded to it too, you've addressed it, come back onto the platform and post about how you've addressed this. Okay. If you are lucky, and I often encourage customers to do that, clients to do that, once you've resolved the issue with the customer, talk to them, encourage them to go back and post about it.
Okay.
That's been resolved. Most customers are happy to do that. Genuine customers always go back and say, you remember I came to post about my issue with this bank.
Yeah.
They actually got in touch with me. It's been resolved and I'm happy, this and that. Okay. And
that solves the issue.
That solves the issue.
All right. Okay. So 17 minutes to the top of the hour. This is a business breakfast on Z101.9 FM with me, Nichwebi Hammond. And this morning, we're talking about customer service in the digital age and what businesses need to be doing. We've touched on quite a number of things this morning. My guest is Stephen Boadi. He is a marketing consultant. He's also a communications consultant and a growth consultant. He likes to refer to himself as that. And he's helping us make sense of exactly these conversations that we're having this morning. You are free to join the conversation. Send us a WhatsApp on 0544321019, 0544321019. You can send your questions, your comments, and we'll read them for you. We are also streaming live on Facebook at ZFMGH and on YouTube at Z Multimedia. Please drop a comment under the live stream as well, and we'll read them for you this morning. You can call us on 030395661, 030395661, and we'll also give you the opportunity to actually share your thoughts with us this morning. All right, Naasei, let's look at solutions now. So, if there's a business listening to us this morning, made all the mistakes you've spoken about, where do they start from?
The starting point is acknowledging that customer service is not just a back office department. It's at the heart of the business. It should be at the heart of your business, okay? Because your customers are key to you. You need to acknowledge that. That means investing in the people there, because often what a lot of businesses do is they put interns and starters and other people in that department. People who are not actually very knowledgeable about the business and the brand and don't even understand customer expectations. So that's the first step. Acknowledge that and then invest in the people and the resources that you use in that department. Number two, understand and acknowledge that customer service today in a digital age is more than just somebody calling or writing to you. And the customer holds a lot of power today, where the customer initiates the complaint, and the complaint has legs.
Right.
It can easily escalate and start trending. Once you acknowledge these, the next step then is putting in place tools to be able to understand the customer needs.
Okay.
Because ideally, you should be able to anticipate the potential sources of crisis and avert them, like we talked about.
Yeah.
If it's a concert, you know the kind of things that people are likely to complain about.
Right.
It's about understanding customer expectation.
Okay.
If it's a restaurant, you know what people are likely to complain about. Waiting time, forgive me, smelly waiters, people, things like that. People don't like those things.
That's true.
So you should anticipate these things. Or waiters who are not helpful. A waiter who doesn't even understand the food on the menu. Because people are likely to ask, okay, so what's this one?
Yeah.
How is it done? You see, I don't know. I often tell my clients who are into, restaurants, say that until your waiters have tasted your food, don't send them out there to go and take orders for that meal.
There was a time I was in town. Somebody walks up to me and they're selling some books.
Yeah.
So I began to ask him questions. Have you read this one? He said, "Oh yeah, I read it. Tell me about it." And he couldn't say anything.
Yeah. So these things are done. That's the second part, bringing the right tools. And today you need to have the right listening tools.
Okay. So you have to give us some of the listening tools.
Listening tools, for example, there's a tool called Brand 24.
Okay.
There's one called Brand Watch. There's Sprout Social. There's Hootsuite Streams. These are all social media listening tools.
Okay.
There's Talkwalker and the rest. There's a free one called Google Alerts. It's very free. It's free. Now, the difference between that and the ones I've mentioned is that the other ones also do what we call sentiment analysis. Because it's not just about knowing about the complaint,
right,
but the sentiments.
Okay.
Because sometimes these days, even on social media, people would rather post with emojis. And emojis are not words. So you need to understand the emojis. So these tools do sentiment analysis, so they can tell, okay, today, for example, this brand has, let's say, 70% negative sentiments, 30%. Because not every mention is also, not every trending is positive. You need to be able to analyze them. So you use these tools to be able to participate in the conversation. The way the tools work is that every time you set them up and use keywords and terms that are related to your brand. So as soon as anybody posts anything using any of those keywords, you get an alert via email.
Right.
So when you get the alert, you can then be able to look into it and begin to respond to it.
Okay.
Now, on top of that, what they do is that some of the tools can even, these days with AI, they can recommend to you how to respond to it. So big businesses are now investing in these tools, not only to listen, but also understand the sentiments and also get kind of like support, get help with how to respond to them. So it's like a one-stop shop for a PR.
Okay.
Yes, so you know that. Yeah. So that's the next thing. Put those tools in place.
Okay.
And also have a crisis response plan. So, for example, it starts with getting notified about the post or potential crisis. That's what. Yeah. And then how do you then do you need to escalate it? Who needs to know about it? So if it's a restaurant, for example, there's a complaint that comes in.
Right.
Where does it need to go? Does it need to go to the owner or needs to go to the chef? Or where does it need to go? At what stage do we make a decision whether this one is one to watch, this one's one to ignore, this one's one to respond immediately or whatever? Sometimes we also encourage businesses to have what we call like a holding statement. Holding statement is something you post to say, we are aware of this incident. We are looking into it and we'll respond back.
But even that, you have to make sure that you respond, because some businesses just put that in the never.
Yes. So these are things you need to do. Then, of course, once you've done that and you've done the analysis, you've done assessment, and you know that we need to respond. You need to respond promptly and accurately. And I often say this: the person to respond is also important. It's not always that the CEO is the one that's supposed to speak. This is where sometimes we get it wrong. But sometimes the CEO is not the most informed person about issues in the business, or it's not the most effective communicator in the business.
Right.
But when the CEO communicates, it comes with a bit of weight. So sometimes you see that at the press conference or whatever, the CEO will come, he will speak, He'll introduce the matter, and then he allow his head of PR, whoever, to speak. But they are more of a comms specialist.
Right.
The CEO needs to be briefed before he speaks. This is very, very important. Even if the CEO has to speak, he has to be briefed. I've had incidents where some clients would go, the CEO will speak, and the CEO is saying something that he hasn't been briefed of. That's not the situation on the ground. And it's because he didn't speak to his people on the ground. If you have a comms person in your team, and the comms person normally is the one that is in charge of the customer service and all of that, or PR person, they need to be the people speaking or briefing you, the CEO, to speak.
Okay,
so you act promptly on that. And then also, perhaps, there are a number of things I've talked about here. The last one is you use every crisis to avert future crisis. So what do you learn from what's happening today? And how do you use that to avoid the same thing or similar things happening tomorrow? If you talk about concerts, if you had a concert today, you brought an artist on who has a reputation of miming, for example. You should know that you can't go and bring not just that artist, but any artist you bring in the next concert, you should check to make sure that they are not coming to mime. They can sing with a live band, things like that. So, so you use a crisis today to plan for tomorrow, so you can avert future crisis.
Okay, so what is one thing that any business listening to us today should do right after this particular conversation?
Prioritize customer service, and after this conversation, go out and do an assessment of your customer service setup. Where are you? Have you got the right people in the team? Are you listening to the right conversations? Have you provided your people with the right resources, the training and everything to be able to respond? That is the starting point.
Right. Okay, some comments have come in. Let me just quickly read them and then we can go. This is from Elikas. I hope I got that right. It says, a great conversation. Customer service today has changed. All right, thank you very much. Kindly let us know your location next time when you send a message. Also, this is on, okay. Right, it says Samuel from Oyarifa says that thank you very much for having this conversation. I need to change a lot of things in my business. Thank you very much, Samuel, for sending that as well. Okay. All right. Okay, these ones I can't read them. I think they're not related to the conversation. These are early questions that came in. So somebody who wants to get started should look at auditing.
Yeah, audit where you are.
Right.
When it comes to customer service, have you got the right people?
Okay.
Are you listening to the right conversations? What's your exposure? By that I mean, what are the potential customer service issues that you have?
Right.
Okay, and start acting from there.
Okay. All right. Okay. So one more. This is Eben. Eben says that what is the best way to respond? Is it in DMs or in comment section? I think you spoke about that.
I'll say both. Once the comment was made in public, you need to respond in public.
Okay.
So your audience would, the observers, the audience will know that you've dealt with it. But in DM, you can be more detailed, be more personal, it can be more specific related to the individual who complained.
So in an instance where the thing has already escalated, and you go and respond to that one person, you go to their DM. There are lots of people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It has to be in public. And also remember, I said that it's also sometimes not only on the chat on the platform on which they complain. You need to look at where the dominance of the complaints are, the crisis, where it's escalated to, and deal with it on those ones. So it may have started from Twitter, but now it's on TikTok and other places. You need to respond there as well.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna say thank you very much. I don't know if you have any final words too.
The last thing I'll say is that customer service is actually something you can leverage as a strategic advantage tool.
Right.
So invest in it, the people, the resources, and do it right, and you set yourself apart from your competitors.
Thank you very much. Really grateful that you joined me this morning. All right. So Uncle Naasei, that's how I call him. But his name is Stephen Naasei Boadi, and he is. He's a growth consultant. Yes, he helps businesses actually grow. He helps business and organizations achieve sustainable growth by connecting the dots between marketing, communication, and digital. and he's helped us have a conversation this morning on customer service. Very important conversation. If you miss any part of it, you can actually visit our social media platforms. We're on Facebook at ZFMGH and also on YouTube at Z Multimedia. Please feel free to visit those platforms and play back. But thank you very much for joining us right from 6:15 till now. We're back again tomorrow for more interesting conversations. My name is Nitrobi Hammond. Until we meet again tomorrow, please take care of yourself. And when you think Ghana, think Z. Up next is The Brighter Side with Jeremy Okoria Marco. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.